Welcome to the WAPSI. Welcome to the next biology class. Here the first question. Which pair of the following cells in the embryo sac are destined to change their ploidy after fertilization? So after fertilization, some cells change their ploidy. Generally, we know the ploidy of the cells, especially ploidy of the embryo sac. We know that angiospermic embryo sac is 7-celled and 8-nucleate. Then what is the ploidy? Ploidy is the chromosome number. Directly it represents the number of chromosome of a cell, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ of a nucleus. So there are 7 cells in an embryo sac and there are 8 nucleate. Generally, embryo sac is haploid in nature. That means they contain n number of chromosomes. Then the vegetative cells of angiosperm, like the cells, leaf cells, stem cells, cells of the root, they are diploid in nature. The petals, ploidy, the cells of the petals, they are diploid in nature. Mother cells, they are diploid in nature. So generally in an angiospermic plant, the main body and major part of the body cells, they are diploid in nature. But the embryo sac that is present within the ovule, that is haploid in nature. Then each cells of the embryo sac, obviously that is also haploid in nature. Egg apparatus which contain egg cell, they are haploid. Then synergid, there are 2 synergid cells, they are also haploid. Then there are 3 antipodals, they are haploid in nature. Then there are a central cell that is also haploid in nature, but the condition is n plus n condition. N plus n condition and 2n condition, they are differ. N plus n condition, which means a single cell contain 2 haploid cells, haploid nucleus. But a 2n condition, which means a single cell contain a diploid nucleus. That means that 2 pair of chromosomes or pair of chromosomes are present. In the case of a central cell, there are 2 polar nucleus and each nucleus is haploid in nature. So n plus n condition. That means all the cells of the embryo sac, that is n plus n condition. N condition, haploid in nature. And after the pollination, the male gamete that is reached or released into the embryo sac, that male gamete or male nucleus, that is also haploid in nature. That means before fertilization, all the cells are haploid in nature. Then the typical or unique characteristic feature of an angiosperm is double fertilization. What is meant by double fertilization? Double fertilization, there is 2 fertilization event that takes place. Among the 2 fertilization, one is the most common, that is syngamy. And the next one is triple fusion, that is the unique character of angiosperm. The cells which are involved in the syngamy and triple fusion, the syngamy, that is the fusion between male gamete and female gamete. So male gamete into female gamete, that is the syngamy. Triple fusion is the fusion between male gamete with 2 haploid nucleus. to polar nucleus. This one is polar nucleus. So these are polar nucleus. That is two polar nucleus. Here the male gamete is haploid in nature. Egg cells, they are haploid in nature. Male gamete here haploid in nature. Polar nucleus haploid. Another polar nucleus is also haploid in nature. So all the cells which are involved in the double fertilization, they are haploid in nature. Then during the syngamy or syngamy fusion, generally the cytoplasm of female gametes, that means egg cells, they are fused with the male gamete. Here there is the formation of another cells. That cytoplasm of that cells definitely from egg cells. That is the product that is considered as the fertilized egg or zygote. So the product of syngamy is actually zygote. It is known as fertilized egg because it is an egg cell which is converted after the fertilization. So this one is considered as egg. Before the fertilization, these two cells are haploid, but after fertilization, zygote is diploid in nature, which means for double fertilized egg that is diploid in nature. That means egg cells change its ploidy into diploid condition. Then during the triple fusion, the product is triploid primary endosperm nucleus, PEN, which means primary endosperm nucleus. These primary endosperm nucleus cells then again converted into endosperm of angiosperm. So the endosperm of angiosperm is triploid in nature. It is because of here the fusion of three haploid cell takes place. So the triple fusion, after which cell is converted into primary endosperm nucleus, that those cells which contain polar nucleus, those cells which contain polar nucleus which is converted into primary endosperm nucleus, that cells was central cell. So central cell which is converted into primary endosperm nucleus, the ploidy of central cell is haploid, that is N+1 condition. The ploidy of primary endosperm nucleus is triploid in nature. So after the double fertilization or especially triple fusion, the ploidy of the central cells changes into triploid in nucleus. Triploid in nature. Then there are another cells, that is synergies and also antipodals. These cells, they are not involved in the fertilization process. Not involved in the fertilization process, but it helps the fertilization process. So after the double fertilization, these synergies and antipodal cells get degenerated. They get degenerated. So their ploidy never changed from haploid to any other condition. No changed to diploid or triploid in nature. So synergies and antipodals, they remain as haploid and after that they get degenerated. So our question is, which pair of the following cells in the embryo sac are destined to change their ploidy after fertilization? Central cells change their ploidy, but antipodals does not. Antipodals and synergids does not change their ploidy. Egg cells change their ploidy, central cells change their ploidy. Synergids and egg cells change their ploidy, but synergid does not. So here the answer is egg cell and central cells, option C. Here the answer is option C. Egg cell and central cells change their ploidy after fertilization or double fertilization. Answer is C. Okay. Moving to the next question. Okay, it is a mathematical question that is in biology. A flower which has 10 stamens, each having bilobed dithecous anther. That means generally angiosperm anther is dithecous or bilobed, each lobe having two theca. Then if each microsporangium has 5 pollen mother cells, each microsporangium has 5 pollen mother cells. How many pollen grains would be produced by the flower? So, in a flower, question is about a single flower. A flower which has 10 stamens. 10 stamens, they are tetrasporangiate. That means each stamen has 4 microsporangium. And each microsporangium one microsporangium which contain 5 pollen mother cells. Pollen mother cells. So first we talk about mother cells. What are mother cells? A cell is said to be mother cell. That means the cell which undergo division. Here the cells, they are sex cells. So they are undergo a division. We already talked about meiosis and mitosis. Here germ cells or reproductive cells which undergo meiotic division. So here the pollen mother cells is a cell which undergo meiotic division. After meiotic division, each cells or each single mother cells which produce 4 daughter cells. That means the product of meiosis is 4 haploid daughter cells. So if there is one pollen mother cell is present, they produce 4 pollen grain. If 5 pollen mother cell is present, so obviously it produce 20 pollen grains. 20 pollen grains produced within 1 microsporangium. 20 pollen grains per 1 microsporangium. Each sporangium has the ability to produce 20 pollen grain. Then how many microsporangium is present in a stamen? Generally, their stamen or our question says that it is the dithecous and bilobed anther, which means tetrasporangiate. That means generally an anther, there is a stamen, each stamen having 2 parts. The basal part that acts as the stalk, which is known as filament, and the tip portion which act as the fertile part, that is known as anther. It has 2 parts, a filament and an anther. Then When we take a cross section, CS of an anther, CS which means cross section. So if this one is an anther, we take a cross section through here. So after the cross section, the given specimen is observed under the microscope, we get a typical butterfly-like structure. Typical butterfly-like structure. Actually, this is the cross-sectional view of not only microsporangium, it is the anther. And if we cut through this, it has two parts. Each part is considered as theca. Then there is two lobe, bilobed or theca. This one is theca. This one is also theca. So each lobe has two theca. Each anther has two bilobed or two lobes. And here, this one is the place where pollen grains are formed. Here, there are 5 microsporangium. Pollen mother cells. There are 5 pollen mother cells. So these are pollen mother cells. These pollen mother cells are seen within a cavity. That cavity is known as microsporangium. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 microsporangium. Then there are 4 microsporangium in an anther. Each sporangium having 5 pollen mother cell. 5 pollen mother cell undergo meiotic division and produce 20 pollen grain. 20 pollen grain. So, how many pollen grains are present within this stamen? 20, then here 20, 20, then 20. So, 20 into 4, there are 80 pollen grains are present in a stamen. So, one stamen which contain 8 pollen grains. 80 pollen grains. 80. One stamen contains 80 pollen grain, then that flower which contain 10 stamens. This type of 10 stamens are present. So, total pollen grain is 80 into 10. That means 800 pollen grain. Clear? 800 pollen grains are present within a flower which has 10 stamens, and those are bilobed and dithecous, and they are tetrasporangiate, and each sporangium which contain 5 pollen mother cells. So the answer is 800. So there are 800 pollen grains. Clear? Answer is 800 pollen grain. If that flower which contain 20 stamen, the answer will be 1600. If a flower has 10 stamen and they are tetrasporangiate, and that contain 10 pollen mother cells. 10 pollen mother cells. If there is a 10 pollen mother cells, then there are 40 pollen grains each, and 160 pollen grains in one stamen into 10,600. If a flower has 20 stamens at this condition, and if a flower has 10 stamens and 10 pollen mother cells in each sporangium, answer is 1,600. Clear? Answer is 800, option A. Then the next question. PCR. The full form of PCR is polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction, that is the used form. Polymerase chain reaction, we know that we use it to DNA amplification, RT-PCR, polymerase chain reaction, etc. They are used for the DNA amplification. How much or how many DNA amplified or produced during a definite time period? Actually, this process takes place in a not in arithmetic, geometric progression. It is actually geometric progression. If we use one DNA, after one cycle, it converted into 2 DNA. If we put one DNA fragment, after one cycle, they produce 2 DNA. Then after 2 cycles, it converted into 4 DNA. Then after 3 cycles, it is converted into 8. Then converted into 16. Then converted into 32. Then 64. Then 128. Then 256. Then 512. Like this. Then after 31 or 32, 31, after 31 cycles, the number of DNA, if we put one DNA fragment into the polymerase chain reaction PCR machine, after 31 cycle, very little time, at least 30 minutes, we can produce 1 billion DNA. So DNA amplification amount or time or number, that is very huge. It is because it is in geometric progression. So one DNA converted into 1 billion DNA, that happening or takes place only just below 30 minutes. So it is a modern equipment widely used in recognition of certain diseases, etc. So DNA amplification, for that we use a polymerase chain PCR machine. So PCR is used for the DNA amplification, not digestion, not isolation, and not DNA ligation. So the answer is C. Moving to the next question. It is also a statement question that is related to ecosystem. Identify the incorrect statement regarding the flow of energy between various components of the food chain. Identify the incorrect statement regarding the flow of energy between various components of the food chain. Flow of energy, energy flow. It is the most important part of the ecosystem. Energy flow. What is energy flow? Energy flow is the flow of energy through various components of an ecosystem, various structural and functional components of an ecosystem. So here the ultimate source of energy is sun. That means sun is the reason for the survival of all type of almost all type of living organism in the earth except some chemosynthetic organism. Except some chemosynthetic organism, they are lived in the absence of light, or they are not using the light energy, solar energy. Light is the ultimate source. Then sun which produce a huge quantity or huge amount of energy or light, but only very little amount of energy or little energy, 2 to 10% of energy, they are photosynthetically active radiation. That means light, sun which emit the energy, it is a huge quantity. Among these light has different wavelength. There is a definite wavelength which in between 350 nanometer to 700 nanometer, or 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. This one is known as photosynthetically active radiation or visible radiation, and it is the half of the total energy. Almost 50% of, or less than 50% of the total energy, that is photosynthetically active radiation. So among the photosynthetic active radiation, only 2 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiation they are used by the organism. They are capable of capturing the light energy. They are known as producers or plants. So among these photosynthetically active radiation, actually this is the 100% of photosynthetically active radiation. 2 to 10% of energy, they are captured by producers. So not all the energy which is coming from sun is not captured by producers. The 2 to 10% of the 50% of the solar energy, that is 1% of the solar energy, directly captured by producers. But according to energy flow law, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 10% law, according to 10% law, the energy transfer from one trophic level to next trophic level, there is only 10% of energy transfer from next one to next. 90% of energy lost as heat or through transfer during the transfer. So there is different trophic level. The first trophic level is producer. Second trophic level is primary consumer. Third trophic level is secondary consumer. Fourth trophic level is tertiary consumer, etc. So producer transfer the energy, they capture energy and transfer energy to the next level. So there is a huge loss of energy, and only 10% of energy of previous trophic level captured by the next trophic level. So from the producer to the primary consumer, only 10% of energy transfer, then as heat or their metabolic activity, their activity, mechanical activity, etc., they lost 90% of energy. From the primary consumer to secondary consumer, there is also a 10% of energy transfer, while 90% of energy is lost as heat. Tertiary consumer, here also 90% of energy lost as heat and 10% of energy transferred to the next trophic level. These are the 10% rule. So according to this rule and through the or during the energy flow, ecosystem, the survival of ecosystem, that is depending on the how much energy which is captured by producers and transferring this or the energy flow, that is the main functional unit or functional characteristics of ecosystem. But here the question is, which one is the incorrect statement? Green plant capture about 10% of the solar energy that falls on leaves. Green plant capture total solar energy, the 10% of the solar energy. No, no, no. Only green plant capture only 1% of the solar energy that falls on the leaves. That is, it is only 2 to 10% of the photosynthetically active radiation, VIBGYOR, visible light. So VIBGYOR only 50% of the total solar energy. So not they absorb 10%, only 1% of the total energy is wrong. So our question is also is identify the incorrect. So this one is an incorrect. Then the amount of energy available at each trophic level is 10% of the previous trophic level. It's correct. Only 10% of the previous trophic level. That is the available energy for the next trophic level. Each trophic level loses some energy as heat to the environment. It is because of total energy does not transfer to the next level. Energy flow is unidirectional. It's true. 100% true statement is energy flow is unidirectional. So here the incorrect statement is option A. Green plant capture about not 10%. It is only 1% of the solar energy. So the answer is A. Okay, clear? Then moving to the next question. It is a match the following. We saw some of these type of questions in previous exams. So especially in plant kingdom, then plant growth and development, etc. Match the column 1 with column 2 and choose the correct option from the following. Bryophyte. According to NCERT, there are many examples are present. Bryophyte. Do you remember any examples or any plant? They are coming under the bryophyte. Bryophyte, they are categorized into 3 groups, but according to NCERT, there are 2 groups, liverworts and mosses. Rexia, Markantia. Then mosses such as sphagnum. Then polytrichum. These are bryophyte. Then gymnosperm. Gymnosperm. It is a naked seeded plant. In our environment, there is very little or very limited number of gymnosperms are present. They are warm gymnosperms. Generally, gymnosperms they love cold areas. Like means high altitudinal areas or polar regions, especially some forest, temperate forest. Temperate forest they're filled with the gymnospermic plant, coniferous forest. Many gymnosperms, but according to NCERT, the main is Pinus, then Cycas, Cedrus, Sequoia. Not citrus, it is Cedrus. In Malayalam, it is Devadaru. Pinus, Cycas, Cedrus, then Sequoia, etc. They are coming under gymnosperm. It is a non-flowering plant. And there is no fruit formation because of ovary is absent. And they are not very common in our region because it is a cold loving plant. Many of the gymnosperms are tree, very rarely they are climbers or herbaceous, etc. The smallest one is a Zamia, it's a garden plant. And the largest one is a sequoia, obviously redwood, the giant redwood, more than 145-meter tallest plant. That is the large plant. And they are slow growing plants, and their lifespan is very large or very huge lifespan. So they are gymnospermic plant. Then next one is algae. Algae they are categorized into many groups like the green algae such as chlorella, chlamydomonas or chlamydomonas, volvox, eulothrix, eudorina, etc. Then algae, some algae like brown algae, chlorophycean and phaeophycean algae. Phaeophycean algae such as Sectocarpus kelps, commonly known as kelps, is the largest algal group. Kelps forest, in an aquatic ecosystem or oceanic ecosystem, there is a large algae. They are growing almost or more than 100-meter long. They are known as kelps. They are growing in a forest. In aquatic ecosystem, they are known as kelps forest. Laminaria, then Dictyofucus, etc. They are Ectocarpus kelps, etc. They are coming under brown algae. Some of the algae they are coming in red algae. They are Geridium, Gracilaria, then Polysiphonia, etc. Geridium, Gracilaria, Polysiphonia, etc. They are algae. They are coming under red algae. Floridian starch is the reserve food material, and phycoerythrin is the pigment, major pigment. Because of the presence of these phycoerythrin, they appear as red in color. Then pteridophyte. Pteridophytes. In NCERT, this pteridophyte, these portions start with the pteridophyte include ferns and horse-tail plant, Kcet. Ferns, Kcet. Almost 90% of the pteridophyte they are coming under the ferns category or the highest category. Then Kcetum, Selaginella, then Salvinia, then Marsilia, Azola, etc. Ophioglossom, the maximum number of chromosome, Ophioglossom, these are coming under pteridophyte. Adiantum, walking fern, Adiantum, generally known as walking fern. So, match the column 1 with column 2 and choose the correct option. Bryophyte, example, Sphagnum. Gymnosperm, example, Pinus. Algae, example, Ectocarpus. Pteridophyte, example, Adiantum. So the answer is R, P, S, Q. R, P, S, Q. Answer is D. Option D. Here the answer is option D, and we are moving to next question. Yeah, it's related to morphology of flowering plants and the last portion of morphology, that is floral formula. Semi-technical description about the family or some family. We have to study Solanaceae, Liliaceae, Fabaceae, etc. And the question is, identify the floral formula of plant which belong to the potato family. Identify the floral formula of plant belongs to the potato family. Potato family or Solanaceae. Then onion family or lily family is Liliaceae. Pulses family, that is Fabaceae. You have to study three families: Solanaceae, Liliaceae, and Fabaceae. Each family having some important recognizing characters or differentiating characters. Fabaceae, their 9 plus 1 condition of anther or stamen. Their 9 plus 1 condition is 9 plus 1 condition of stamen. Diadelphous condition. Their stamen, the fusion of stamen is Adelphi, but Adelphi leads to the formation of two group of stamens. One contain 9 stamens, they fused to form one group, and one remain as free. So 9 plus 1 condition. That is the unique character of Fabaceae. So this one is 9 plus 1 condition, it is Fabaceae. Then the Liliaceae, it is a monocot family. So Solanaceae is a dicot family, Fabaceae is a dicot family, but Liliaceae is a monocot family. Dicot family may be tetramerous or pentamerous. But monocot family, they are trimerous. Monocot families are trimerous, dicot families are tetra and pentamerous. That means in a monocot flower, the number of floral part, that means the number of calyx, sepals, petals, androecium and gynoecium, that means that is 3 or multiple of 3. But in the case of dicot families like Solanaceae, the number of floral part is 5 or its multiplication. The plant mustard, they are coming under Brassicaceae. That family having a tetramerous flower, the number of floral part is 4 or its multiplication. So here, the plant with the floral formula with the 3 or its multiplication, tetramerous condition. Option A, that is belongs to the monocot family, that is Liliaceae. And here there is a some letter. For the floral formula, for the preparation of floral formula, we use some symbols, we use some letters, etc. that have or that carry definite meaning. Among these floral formula, P represent perianther. If the calyx and corolla they are undifferentiated, then the condition is called perianther. A represent androecium, G represent gynoecium, K represent calyx, C represent corolla. So here A, P, G, K, C, etc. All the letters having a definite meaning. Then some symbols. There is a circle and base there is a cross, which means female. There is a circle and there is an arrow above this circle, which means male. So male simple and female simple. So both male and female. That condition is called bisexual. If the flower is bisexual, when we use a symbol with a circle, there is an arrow and there is a cross. Then some numerics are present: 3, 5, 10, 2, etc. These numerics refer the number of part, number of calyx, that means the number of sepals. The independent unit of the calyx, that is sepals, and independent unit of the corolla, that is petals. So the number of petals, number of sepals, number of stamen, number of carpels, etc. So the digit they are refer the number of parts, and they are using some symbols like a bracket, and there is an arch, etc. This bracket, which means they are fused. If the digit or numerics they are without a bracket, which means they are free. If the carpels and if the sepals, if the petals, etc., if they are free, then we use just numerics. If they are fused, there are 5 sepals and they are fused, then we use a 5 under the bracket or within the bracket. And there is an arch between two letters or two digits. Calyx C, A represents androecium, which means androecium attached to the, not calyx, corolla. Androecium attached to the corolla, which means epipetalous condition. Epipetalous condition. So the arch, which means they are fused. Then with the gynoecium or G, we use an underline, or there is a line above the G, or only G. Here G, then there is a hyphen, or there is an underline like underline, which means gynoecium is above, all other parts are below. That means hypogynous. That means all other parts, calyx, corolla, and androecium, they are below the gynoecium. Then G, then above then this line, which means epigynous. That means all the floral parts such as calyx, corolla, and androecium, their position is above the ovary. G directly means gynoecium, but it represents the ovary. Then only G, which means perigynous, or it is also represented as G, then hyphen. So here identify the floral formula of plant which belongs to the potato family. The most important characteristics of potato family is epipetalous condition. That means stamens, they are attached to the petals. Epipetalous condition. Here there is an epipetalous condition which is represented by an arch in between corolla and androecium, C, then A. Here Solanaceian flowers, they are bisexual. There is calyx, which contain 5 sepals and they are fused, that means gamosepalous. The corolla, which contain 5 petals, they are also gamopetalous. Androecium, they are 5 and they are attached to the corolla, they are epipetalous. Gynoecium, which contain bicarpellary syncarpous hypogynous condition, hypogynous flower. So bisexual, and it is solan placenta, then calyx fiber, then corolla fiber, both are gamopetalous and gamosepalous. Androecium, which contain 5 stamens, they are epipetalous condition, then gynoecium, hypogynous condition, bicarpellary, and it is syncarpous. So the answer is option B. Option B. Okay, clear?